to the soft and sifting size to sales. And today we're still talking and carrying on the conversation from last week because I think it's just so important. So we're just having a look at different areas and different facets around setting yourself up for success within 2023 and the foundations that you have. If you've done it already, congratulations, well done. But if you haven't, you're still struggling to get over that, still takes more time in what you do. So again, with my good friend Shay Lynch here on my left, I've got it correct, and we'll be talking about this in depth today. So welcome back. There was me shoving some crisps in the video, but again, we're looking at the foundations for success, and we talked last week in brief because we're only on for 20 minutes. We had some wonderful feedback from everyone about this because it's so imperatively important and how we can impact the business. So today, let's have a look at some other elements and let's have a look at some of the stakeholders around that. So Shay, let's have a discussion about this. And what's your perspective on this?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, Jason, right? Like anything, everything in life and business is about relationships, okay?
Yeah.
We talked a lot last week about the strategy, setting targets, working with customers, getting feedback and building and growing momentum as you go. Don't start off with crazy targets, build as you go, grow as you go, right? That's all outward, Jason, and just with the team itself. But if you really want business success, this is wider than just a sales team. You need to have like all the teams aligned, working together in the right direction, complementing each other, not contradicting. And that's imperative. And I believe sales is usually the integral team to start this, Jason, because they're connected to the marketing team, the service delivery team, the customer experience team, the account management team. They're interconnected to every single one of them, Jason. So absolutely. I believe even if it's not a responsibility today for a sales team, I believe it should be to take the lead in building those stakeholder relationships. Because again, Jason, like if you think even just sales and marketing alone, part of the marketing responsibilities is lead generation, and that is the number one step in the sales funnel. So isn't it imperative to make sure they work together so they're aligned? Because we've talked about this many times before. Marketing's biggest issue is sending leads to sales. They don't get any feedback. And then one of sales' biggest issues is getting not good leads, bad leads, not relevant leads to their marketplace, but they don't talk to each other to make it better, right? So for me, it's important for the sales team to really think outside, not just functionally, but cross-functionally, Jason. So they start thinking it. And I always even say, think of it linearly, Jason. Build the process. Like if you think marketing, right, number one is the first step. Sales process and the buying experience is number two. Then the customer process, you get the customer. Then the service delivery. You can really put it in a line, Jason.
Yeah.
And it's about making sure that all of those sync well together. And I believe, as I said, the sales team should set that process up and lead it because they're the integral team involved.
Yeah, and I think we can actually branch this out even further because obviously marketing and sales, they should be in line, and we know that, and there's so much data out there to suggest that's the right way to do it, but sometimes it's so misaligned that they're not congruent, they're not in line. But also the accounts team as well, I always find they're an integral part of it. If there's a challenge or a problem with the account, whatever it might be, sales should know immediately just so that you can work out the structure to look after find out the challenges. But there's also an opportunity there to speak to the client as well, to have another excuse to have a conversation with them about where we're going for 2023, how we can actually add more impact. But it's also good if you are a salesperson, is to also put a plan together for the client as
Yeah.
well. And this has been done really well. If they're an existing client, obviously not the new clients, but the existing client, is how are we going to work together strategically for 2023? What are we going to do? How can I help you more? How can we make more of an impact to their customers to help them sell more, depending on what they got, and have a roadmap for success? And I think I suggested this before. Have a shared document, have a shared deck that you can both impact on it and go, well, this is what we're going to do in March, and this is what we're going to do in July, whenever. But this is the budget for the year, and this is what we can do with that budget.
Mm.
These are the ideas that we have around that to make sure there's a business case and business proposal. So again, it's all about impact as well. So lots of different facets around that, how we can extrinsically help others to get what they want, because it's all about that customer at the end of the day.
Absolutely, Jason. And it's a very good call out because, like I always say, you got to work together to make it better.
Yeah.
You have to bring in anything you do, Jason, in the sales team. There should be, if you're doing a brainstorming strategy session, you should bring other stakeholders in because they'll ask the questions that nobody else in that team answers because they're too close, because they're too close to the process, right? And the more you can bring other stakeholders in, supporting stakeholders, the more rounded and the more involved and the more connected those teams will be going forward. Because each, like you talked about it there, Jason, account management may have a problem. Service delivery may have a problem. Maybe the sales teams said something that the customer took up a little bit differently and assumed something else would be in the service delivery, which was not, right?
Yeah.
So how do you make sure those things don't happen? How can you make sure everything is aligned? I remember doing a workshop a number of years ago, and what you were just saying, Jason, about bringing them together, just reminded me of this, where we are building a sales process. And normally what I like to do is to make things more efficient, right?
Yeah.
We map the current process, and then we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. What do we want to keep? What do we want to remove? What do we want to change going forward? And I invited some of the supporting stakeholders there. One in particular, the quality manager, and the purchasing manager was there too. And he just happened to say in the meeting, in the session, that anytime I'm involved in the sales, we get a sale, right? Now, if I didn't have him there, we would have never discovered that. When we looked at the information, he was absolutely correct. So then what we did, Jason, we actually built an extra step in the process. So when the sales customer had a meeting, or the sales rep had a meeting with the potential customer, that the goal was not to get the sale or talk about the process. The goal was to share information about what they can do, but then get the quality managers to have a conversation to ensure our quality, or my client's quality, met the customer's quality requirements, right? And once they did that, then you can move forward with the rest of the sales process. But their conversions went through the roof because, number one, the first conversation is easier because you're not looking for the sale, you're looking to get quality managers to discuss, have a conversation. But when they have a conversation and it goes well, that gives the internal purchasing manager, whoever they're talking to, a warmer feeling about this client as a potential supplier. And it makes the sales process warmer. And that's by having a more rounded approach to delivering sales.
I love that. Yeah. And the warmer and the softer that you can make it, then the client and customer feels a lot more involved into the actual conversations. And it's good to get some people that are slightly higher up into the conversations as well, because the buyer and the customer actually feels like, oh, wow, they really want to make a difference to our organization. So they've got the senior people coming in as well as everyone else. And You know what? I think collaborative sales works so well.
Mm,
It's majorly important that you have one or two or maybe sometimes three people involved in the sale. And the larger the organizations do that really well. But the smaller organizations should be taking benefits of that because of, you know, if you have someone else and the managing director, or you have the quality assurance person, or you have the accounts person, or whoever else involved in it, it just makes a massive impact.
mm,
And what I was going to suggest is on the B2B models, and if you're selling sort of uh, goods and you got delivery people selling products to the end user, whatever it might be, photocopiers or whatever, they're the really good insights to the companies as well. And they should also get, they're a listening ear to find out what other
yeah.
challenges there might be, and to train these people up to be curious about anything else within the organization, and to speak to the people actually using and utilizing the tech or whatever it might be, is a great feedback into the people that are looking after the account going
Mm.
forward. So that's a really good strategy as well to have in your toolkit. And it's another way of self discovery as well, or business discovery.
It is, Jason. Totally. Like, even what I always like to do is when you have a sales team, when you're looking for feedback, Jason, about from a sales process, what's working, then when you're talking to the service delivery, who are in absolute touch points with the customers on a
Mm,
regular basis, imagine having a conversation with them, or a brainstorming session is, what are their customers saying? What else do you think we can say in our message? What other problems do we have? Can we up our service? Can we change our
yep,
service? Can it become more tailored to their needs? That's a great way of just solidifying what you want to deliver to the customer. And then you can go to the customer. Look, we've had a conversation internally. We believe we can do X, Y, and Z a little bit better, or we can do one, two, three more. And
yeah,
that's just by having the conversation. You go, what do you think? Will this be of benefit to you? Add more value to them as well. And that could obviously add more profit too, Jason, but
yep,
the value is number one. And that's how you do that, because you work together, you brainstorm and get all the different um, issues, get all the different ideas, bring them all together, and then formulate something that then you can present to your customers going forward.
I like that because it's good. And again, we are talking about sales setting foundations,
Mm,
and you know there's opportunities in there because people are actually on the ground and they're actually listening to the customers. You can also change how you deliver and how you operate, because if they tell you, oh, something that a process is not
mm,
working that well, or alternatively there's other things that your offering is not offering, and you can actually be strategic going, well, how can we stretch our ideas to actually serve the customers even better? How
mm.
can we add more value? Obviously there's other business opportunities to get more revenue back in, to add another area, as long as it's justified in the business case that you have within the organization that you work with. You can go, well, why not we do this? Why not we haven't thought about that, and maybe other customers would need that area of the service or the product that they might be offering. So again, it's ideas and it's brainstorming ideas that we can all get from our key stakeholders that are operating within the organization. I think everyone is a salesperson at some degree,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think there's opportunities to train people in just certain areas to say, well, listen out for opportunities, because whatever we do as an organization, we can all drive forward, and we can all benefit from helping and serving the customer and giving better value to the organization.
And isn't that what it's all about, Jason? Like,
Yeah.
even another idea is to work with your customer care team. Look at all the complaints that came in.
Yeah.
How can you make sure you can mitigate those issues that cause those complaints going forward? What can be led by the sales team? And as I said, I think the sales team, Jason, are the integral element of all things customer related,
Mm.
whether it's service delivery improvements, whether it's customer complaints reduction, customer experience, everything, and managing the account management. They're the center point who've created all this, Jason. So I do believe this is a great opportunity for the sales team to lead the business going forward
Yeah,
into the new year.
I think that's absolutely excellent. Um, Going on to that, actually, like Shay and I have been discussing this for a while about using the platform on via LinkedIn to use it as a discussion as well.
Mm.
And what we'd love to do is to share this on using some of the tools within LinkedIn to have a proper discussion. So there's something that we want to do in stretching our ideas and how we can actually serve, but bring people in as well and get a group together to share ideas, knowledge, but also for us to lead it and bring people up onto the stage. So that's something that we,
Mm.
Shay and I, are actually thinking of doing over the next coming weeks. So we've been discussing this for a while, and I think it's really good to help others to get what they want, but also share ideas of impact from other people that are come from a different point of view. So I always like to grow and I always like to learn. So if someone
Mm.
else comes up with an idea, fantastic. Let's all share this as well.
Brilliant. No, that sounds fantastic, Jason. And again, bring everyone into the conversation. We would love to hear other people's issues when it comes to sales, or even some ideas that we can help them build on and develop them further for themselves. Great idea.
Excellent. Well, I think we come to the pivotal point again. So, one thing are you going to take away from our conversation today?
Well, I always say, Jason, work together to make it better. You're not just a silo in a corner in the sales team. You're all part of the same engine. So build those relationships, become cross-functionally excellent, and for the sales team to lead this out.
Couldn't have said it any better. I think one word is congruence.
Congruent. There we
I'm
go.
not going to say anything
Brilliant.
else because I normally carry on, but congruence.
Brilliant.
We shall see everyone next week. So, thank you once again.